everyone, my name is Hannah. Welcome to a new video. Happy Bookmas Day 8. Today's video is going to be my most disappointing and most surprising books of 2022. So I had quite a few disappointing books. I had a lot of DNFs this year, and every time I DNF a book, I'm disappointed. But these disappointing books in particular are books that I had high expectations for or high hopes for, that I thought I was really gonna love them, and I ended up really not loving them. And then my most surprising books are books that I thought maybe I would like but didn't realize that I would love, or I went into it with little to no expectations and they just blew me out of the water. So I have 5 of each, so we're gonna alternate. Okay, so my first disappointing book this year is going to be These Twisted Bonds by Lexi Ryan. I read the first book, These Hollow Vows. It might have even been earlier this year, I'm not even sure, or sometime last year. I don't even remember when I read it, but I did really enjoy it. I had a really fun time with it, and so I was anticipating the sequel, especially because the first book ends on a cliffhanger, so I was excited to pick this one up, and I was really liking it for most of the book. For 350 pages, I was like, wow, this is great, I'm having a great time. And then the ending just really went downhill for me. I thought that the ending was super rushed. I thought everything was very convenient, and things were just working out way too easily, and I was like, what was the point of that? And I swear that the ending was 30 pages. Was this whole buildup that we've had for 2 books was quickly done and wrapped up in 30 pages, and I was like, what? I was actually to the point where I was almost towards the end. There was maybe this much left, and I was like, is this not the finale? Because there's no way that we're gonna be able to wrap up all of these loose ends by the end of this book. There's just no way. And no, it's a duology, so this was the finale, and I was like, maybe there's gonna be a 3rd book because there's no way this is just gonna end. And it just ended, and I was left very confused, how did we do all that in 30 pages? All this buildup, and for what? So yeah, I ended up lowering my rating quite a bit. I think I gave this a 3.5, maybe a 3-star rating. But it was a 4.5 rating for the majority of the book. I was really having a good time, and then the ending just really went downhill. All right, now on to my first surprising book. So this one is, I have the omnibus of it. It is the Mindf series by St. Abbey. So this is all 5 books. The first book, what is it even called? The Risk. But honestly, I just kind of think of this as one giant story, because this is the whole series in its entirety. They're very short books. They're all around 200 pages, I want to say, maybe even 150 to 200 pages. But this series I picked up on a complete whim, very spontaneously. I think I was watching Gabby from Gabby Reads reading sprints, and Katie Colson and McKay from McKay's Book World, McKay's Book Reviews, something like that. McKay and Katie were reading this, and they were talking about how good it is and how much they were enjoying it, and I was like, you know what, let me give it a shot. And I just picked up the Kindle book, and literally I was just I was just thinking I'll just give this a try for a silly goofy time, just to read a book that's pretty short. And I ended up getting so sucked in. I binged this whole series in a matter of days, and I freaking loved it. I was having so much fun reading it. I was so invested, and I was so shook that this book that I just randomly decided to pick up ended up being a new all-time favorite. The covers, I feel really mismarket what this series is about. They look very spicy. It's this woman in lingerie and stuff, and it just looks like it's gonna be a super smutty erotic time, and it is so not about that. There is some spicy scenes in this, but that is not the forefront, in my opinion. This is for sure a revenge story. So it follows Lana Meyer, and she is a serial killer, and she is out for revenge to kill these men who have wronged her in the past and wronged her family. And you're learning what happened in her past that she's like seeking this revenge, and she's a freaking serial killer. And there is a romance between her and the FBI agent who's investigating her case. And like she knows that he's investigating her cases, but he doesn't know, obviously, that she's the serial killer that he's hunting for. So there's that little bit to it. But through and through, this is a revenge story and a good for her story. And it's one of those where I'm just like, I just got so sucked in. I was so surprised by how much I ended up loving this. I ended up giving at least a few of these books like 5 stars, but as a whole, the series as a whole, I give it 5 stars too. I absolutely loved it. My next disappointing read is going to be Misconduct by Penelope Douglas. I actually ended up DNFing this one. I have read everything that Penelope Douglas has published, and I have loved pretty much all of their books. I think I've rated every single one of their other books 4 stars or higher. I've given several of them 5 stars. I just really like their writing and how they tell stories and how they write romance. And this one just was not for me. It rubbed me the wrong way. I only got like, I think less than 150 pages into this one, and I didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about the story. And there was one scene where I was just like completely put off by it, and I was like, I'm just not gonna finish this. Like I'm not gonna finish it, because I knew I wasn't gonna rate it well. So I was like, I'm done with it. So I was pretty disappointed by that, because I wanted to love it and because I have like a really good track record with Penelope Douglas's books. So I thought that I was going to like it, and I ended up DNFing it and I did not enjoy it. So that was pretty disappointing. My next surprising read is going to be along the same lines as the Mindfuck series, and that is There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. So 2 serial killer romances. Listen, I did not think that I was going to enjoy serial killer romances. I thought that I was like, it was not going to be for me, but here I am with 2 of them that I gave 5 stars to. So this was one that I was, again, very surprised by. I had only read Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark before reading this one, and I think I gave that one like 3 stars. It was very fine, but I kind of went back and forth on if I should even read this one, because I was like, ugh, I don't know if that's going to be for me. Should I even bother trying? And I was like, you know what? No, I'm just going to give it a shot. I'm going to try it and we'll see. If I don't like it, then I DNF it, and that's no big deal. But I gave it a shot and I loved it. It was so good. I had the best time with this. It's kind of like a thriller romance. Like there's definitely a thriller aspect to this, because obviously it involves serial killers. I in no way endorse serial killers as like a romantic like thing. I don't, like in real life, obviously, no way, but this is fiction, so. But I just really, really enjoyed this. I had the best time reading it, and I ended up giving it 5 stars because I was like so enraptured by this, and I binged it and I didn't want to put it down, and I had the best time. So I was very surprised that I ended up liking this, because I was so on the fence about it before I even picked it up. But yeah, I was very surprised by this. Pleasantly surprised. My next disappointing read is City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. So I did a whole reading vlog for this. I was buddy reading this with my best friend Rachel over at Raven Haired Reader, and we both were like so hyped for this book. We were talking before we like started our buddy read. We were like, oh my god, it's a 5-star prediction. We think it's gonna be so good. It's hopefully gonna be on our favorites of the year list. We were so excited. It's been compared to the Crescent City series by Sarah J Maas, which we both obviously love, and so we were like so hyped for this, and we're like, oh, everybody's giving it 5 stars and they say it's really good, and so we were like so excited to read it. And we started to like try to temper our expectations, because obviously if you go in with super high expectations like that and you're like, it's gonna be a 5-star, it's gonna be a favorite of the year, there's always that room for it to kind of let you down. And so we were like, we need to calm down. And then we read it, and I feel like we both did the exact same thing, where we were starting it and we're like, yeah, no, it's really good, I'm really liking it. And then the farther we got in, we're like, yeah, you know, there are some issues with it, but still liking it. And then the further and further we got in, we're like, no, this book is just a no. Neither of us was enjoying it. I think we both ended up giving it like 2 stars. The main character, she was the downfall of that book, okay? Her name is Lauren. It is said that it's pronounced Loren, but Rachel and I both refuse to pronounce it that way because it's literally spelled like Loren, Lauren. The world was good, and the like main love interest, I really liked him and like his friends, but I couldn't stand the main character. She was just, it was painful to be in her point of view. She was so dumb. She was so dumb. And it just really, really sucked the enjoyment out of that experience. So I was pretty disappointed by that. I know Rachel was pretty disappointed by that. We just laugh about it now. But yeah, I couldn't make this video without talking about City of Gods and Monsters. My next surprising book is the Veronica Speedwell mystery series. So the first book is A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn. So if you don't know, I read all of the Veronica Speedwell books this year and I absolutely loved them. While I did not give every single book 5 stars, the series as a whole to me is a 5-star series. And first of all, this is surprising to me because I am not a historical fiction reader. I dabble in historical fiction. Like, I've read the Stalking Jack the Ripper series and maybe like a couple other here and there, like historical fiction romances, but it's just not my genre. I don't gravitate towards it. But I heard really good things about this, and so I decided to try the first book, and I had so much fun with this. And then I like binged the whole series. I read the whole series this year, and some of them were top tier books. I freaking loved them. I just love Veronica and Stoker so much. These two characters, they have my heart. So yeah, I was pretty blown away by the fact that I not only enjoyed a historical fiction book, but like loved the series. So definitely a surprising one, definitely a series that I will pick up every installment of. Whatever Deanna Raybourn puts out in this series, I will be picking up because I just love them so much. And yeah, I was completely blown away by how much I loved this. My next disappointing read of this year is very unfortunately The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas. This was one of my most anticipated releases of this year, and I gave The Spanish Love Deception 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. One of my favorite romances ever. And so I was very, very excited for this one. It's kind of a spin-off because it's the main character from the first book. It's her cousin and her best friend and their little romance. And I read this for the Sugar and Spice book club, which one of my best friends, Lachlan, helps to host for. So we both read this, and yeah, this is a 2-star read for me. I was anticipating it being a 5-star read, so obviously that makes it very disappointing. I just really did not enjoy my time reading this. I thought that the romance was super cheesy. The writing was super cheesy. I honestly like couldn't pick a good thing or like a thing that I liked about this book. I thought the main character was really annoying. I just did not have a good time reading this, and I was anticipating it being a 5 stars, so that was just so incredibly disappointing. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. My next surprising reads, again, is going to be, I'm talking about a specific book, but really I'm talking about the series as a whole, and that is the Zodiac Academy series. So the first book, The Awakening by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. I picked this up at the perfect time for me. I was honestly feeling like in a bit of a slump, and I just needed something to love and be obsessed with. And I randomly decided to pick this up, and obsessed I did become. I binged this whole series in a month, and they're pretty chunky books. But yeah, it is a like bully fantasy romance. Romance obviously is very, very slow burn. There's not really any romance at all in this first book. But I wasn't expecting to love this as much as I did. I feel like I've been saying that with all of these surprising books, but it's so true. Like, I went into this just thinking like, I'm gonna give it a shot, and I ended up becoming completely obsessed with it. And I wasn't expecting like the plot to actually get good. I was kind of thinking it was gonna be like a silly, goofy time, but the plot actually really picks up and it becomes like really good. I will say that towards the end of the series, it starts to get a little bit dragged out, but there's still like new books that are going to be coming out. But after this first book, I feel like the series just really takes off, and the third and the fifth book are like my favorites in the series. They're so good. But yeah, wasn't expecting to love this. Thought that I was just gonna try it and have like a silly little time, and then ended up becoming obsessed. Okay, now we're getting down to my final of each of these. So I have my most disappointing book of the year and my most surprising book of the year overall. My most disappointing book, I hate to say it, I literally hate to say it. My most disappointing book of the year is Kingdom of the Feared by Carrie Maniscalco. Listen, I The longer that I sit with this after finishing it, the more annoyed and frustrated I became. Like, when I finished it, I was like, yeah, it's good, 4 stars. And now I'm like, 3 stars, if that. Okay, I love Carrie Maniscalco's writing. I love Wrath. Amelia's fine. I don't think she's annoying. I know some people think that she's super annoying, but I just feel like this book was just not it. For a finale of the series, like, this was just not it. I thought that there was some stuff introduced here, like a big reveal happens in this book that I'm like, one, why couldn't that have been revealed earlier, or at least hinted at earlier in the series? It just to me felt like it came out of left field, and it was just like thrown at you, and then it was like, okay, that's it. Like, there was no like turmoil with that, or like trying to accept that that was a reality. It was just like, here it is, okay, moving on. Like, no, I need more from that. You can't just like throw that out there and then just leave it. And then the like whole climax of the story was just, again, like with These Twisted Bonds, it was so rushed and so convenient. Like, it was just like, here's an answer to all your problems. Here, that's all you got to do. And this like tension and build up with the villain of the story was like, so it was just like brushed under the rug, basically. It was like, here, let's do this, and then let's solve all our problems, and then that's the end of the book. Now we get our happily ever after. Like, that, I think the longer that I've sit with it, that ending, I'm like, that was bad. That was a bad ending. Like, that was not good. And so that's what's like frustrated me, because like I remember reading this and going like, okay, it's not going to be a 5-star book, which it was a 5-star prediction, but the ending made me lower my rating down to like a 4-star. And then the longer I've sat with it, I'm like, no, that needs to be a little bit lower than that, because just no. And yeah, I literally thought this was going to make my favorites of the year list. It was a 5-star prediction and one of my most anticipated releases of the year. What a letdown. Honestly, I'm just so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. I don't even want to look at it anymore. I'm just disappointed. Okay, so now let's end on a high note here, and let's talk about my most surprising read of 2022. It's Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. Okay, so if you're just like randomly popping in, you don't watch my videos all the time, I love this book. It's my favorite book of the year, okay? I did a whole reading vlog for this whole series, so I picked this up off of Bestie Laughlin's recommendation. She read it and just was raving about it, and I was like, let me try this book. And I even messaged her and I was like, do you think I would like this? And she was like, try the sample, because you can get like the first 50 pages on Kindle as a sample. And so I was like, that's what I'll do. I'll try the sample before I buy the book. And I was hooked. I'm not even kidding you. From page 1. From the first page, I was like, never mind, let me just go buy this book. I am flabbergasted by this book. Jessa Hastings, her writing, her brain, I just want to live inside of it. But her writing is, I feel like, tailor-made for me. I know that's like so extra to say, but like, it's exactly the type of writing that speaks to me on a cellular level, like speaks to my soul. I annotated and tabbed the crap out of this thing, and it was just one of the best reading experiences I've ever had. Absolutely incredible, and I will just never shut up about this book. So I was completely surprised by this book taking my heart and soul. And I think the most surprising thing, and I think it's surprising everybody around me, is that this book is going to beat out a Sarah J. Maas book for my favorite of the year. Who saw that coming? Not I, said the fly, okay? Not me. I did not see that coming. I cannot believe... It's like almost a given for me that a Sarah J. Maas book is going to be my favorite book of the year. If a Sarah J. Maas book is released in that year, that's probably my favorite book of the year. But this year, Miss Jessa Hastings just slid right in and said, no ma'am, let me surprise the absolute crap out of you, okay? So this book shook me to my very core. I cannot sing its praises enough. I can't... I just want to reread it right now. So yes, there you have it. Those are my top 5 disappointing and top 5 most surprising books of 2022. I would love it if you would let me know down below what your #1 most disappointing and #1 most surprising books of the year are. And tell me why, too. Tell me why. I love it. I love the surprising ones where you don't see it coming and it just hits you like a freight train. I love those ones. Don't so much love it the other way around where you think you're gonna love it and you end up not liking it. But the surprising ones, man, those are the ones. If you made it to the end of this video, leave the like the mask emoji where it's like one of them smiling and one of them's frowning, like the play pantomime masks. What are those called? Like the Harlequin masks? I don't know what they're called. I'll try to pop a picture up on the screen of what I mean, but it's like one's smiling and one's frowning. I think that's the perfect emoji for this video. So leave that in the comments down below as well to let me know that you made it to the end of this video. And don't forget to click like and subscribe while you're down there so you don't miss any bookish content from me, especially the rest of my bookmas videos. But I hope you'll stick around. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in my next one for Bookmas Day 9. Bye.